How are they supposed to stop the war? Right now, they're taking inventory in all the companies that make weapons. They know some of them weapons are going to drop on the heads of children, mothers, women, the old, the elderly, the dying, the infirm, on hospitals, on schools, on roads, on rivers, on people's farms. The impact that this war is going to have, and is having already on the world, is going to be a global thing. It's the beginning of all the end games. Question now is, what should we do about it?
We are going to give you guns and you're going to fight for Ukraine. I said, hi. We're going to fight for Ukraine? We are not Ukrainian. We are black. So how can we fight? How can we fight for Ukraine? If we fight for Ukraine, we are going to die first because we are black. When they will see, oh, look at those black people. I think they are from they are from NATO. So we have to kill them first. So how could they think that way? Come on.
Right. Shalom Iye to all family out there. Shalom Iye. Iye come to all of you. That is life eternal. That's the name of our Creator. Iye Ashe Iye. Life come to you in the name of His Son. Iye She. And all glory and praise be to our Father, Heavenly Father. Iye Ashe Iye. I'm hoping that you are all okay in life. Find your families, your health, your wealth, and all your neighbors and friends around. I pray that these testing times that you have been able to keep your faith and keep your mind, keep your sanity, and keep most especially your family around you. How are you, brothers and sisters? How are you? I really want to know. So a lot of us have been unable to communicate for quite a while now. I'm still in East Africa here. And I've got my challenges, and one of them being electricity and internet, a regular internet or stable regular internet connection and all of that. So it is hard to do live streams like we used to do. I'm so used to doing live streams that it's becoming really hard for me now to do anything else with my peculiar situation in terms of like making videos, producing them, and then doing the edit and then uploading them. Is just taking 3 times the time, but no excuses. We still need to press on with our ministry and our faith. I'm hoping that this time that we have used to be quiet, that hasn't been wasted, that you have found something useful to do, if nothing else, at least dig deeper into some of the messages that we already have online, and use that to bolster your faith and bolster your understanding and impart some wisdom to yourself and families around you. We have just come through a very harrowing period of David-19, as the saying goes, and it has had a very devastating effect on lives and livelihoods and situations, relationships, everything you can name. So we surely know that we are in the end times. We are on the cusp of greater unsavory conditions to come upon the earth, to say the least. So being back online is something that we want to do, and we want to be firm and stable with it. So all your support, wherever you can, would be very appreciated in any form, any shape. Okay, so I believe that we all are family in our eternal Father, and we all need to play a part in that eternal life kingdom. So whatever you can do, let me know. Whatever you are willing to do, let me know. It's not a one-man band, as we've said before, and we are praying that all of us can pull together in this in these very, very, very dangerous times that we're moving into. Okay, so there's a lot to be said from all the events of the past, but we wouldn't have time to do all of that. So this is a recorded message. I'm trying to make it short so that I can get to the edit and do all the things that goes with just uploading videos. So first of family, we're in a situation right now with a new event upon the whole world, and that's the war in Ukraine, okay? Or the Russian war in Ukraine, or the Russian invasion of Ukraine, or the World War III in Ukraine, or whatever games name they want to name it this time. But first and foremost, to not sound as if we're not being sensitive to the times that we're living in, commiserations go out to all those caught up in the fighting, the killing, unnecessary killing and the unnecessary dying of the people out in Ukraine, Russians, Ukrainians, and all those who find themselves caught in this game of thrones, so to speak, that's going on out there right now. Real lives are being lost, real blood is being shed, real communities and real societies are being destroyed. That's a fact. So our commiserations and our sympathies go out to all those, regardless of what nation they're from, that are being suffering from this games of war going on out there. Our sympathies go out to you, and we want you to know that this is a serious event, even in our minds in the spiritual realm. And so we do pray for you, and we're hoping that you come through one way or the other. Now, we understand that our Bible says that we should not be afraid of those who can kill the body but cannot kill the soul, and that we should be afraid of that Creator, our Father, our Heavenly Father, who can actually kill the body and kill the soul. So we want everybody in this war at this particular time to understand that wicked, evil games are being played on people's lives and people's souls. The game of hell, the game of death, is being played on human souls, as the book of Revelation says, that human souls are being bought and sold. And when they're being bought on this earth, they're being sold into hell. Now, war is a very, very grave situation that most of us would never understand it if you haven't been in it. If you haven't seen human suffering and unnecessary death, where once upon a time a human person constituted of flesh and blood and bones is now lying on the floor, on the ground, in such horrible conditions, as if they're worth nothing, as if they have no value. And that's a scary thought when we think about it. So those who have been in war conditions, war zones, or war places in their lives or history fully understand the horror that we're looking at right now. We really are praying for those people caught in this war to be able to wake up spiritually, to understand the full extent and full gravity of what they're partaking in right now, even though it's not of their own will. There are greater powers that are playing on us, preying on us, and consuming our life, our soul, our spirit, for their own evil, wicked ends. We are in no times, make this clear, we are in no times to feel emotional about the situations we're facing, because this thing is going global. This thing is a global phenomenon. So like I said, first and foremost, our commiseration goes to all the people caught up in these war games, both on both sides. Never mind the forgotten topic of all the other foreigners, of all the other strangers also caught up in this saga. Africans, Asians, other race of people who are caught up in this war in the Ukraine and along all the borders that are involved right now. So our commiserations go out to you, and you are surely in our prayers. So family, with that said, the war in Ukraine seems to be starting a new chapter in some of the war on humanity. The war on humanity started a long time ago in history, right from Eden. A lot of people think it takes a world war to signal the war on humanity. And we often hear about crimes. Please excuse the noise. Excuse the noise outside. We often hear about the catchphrase, crimes against humanity, and so on and so forth. And we wonder, what are these things? What is the crimes against humanity? So right now we are understanding that some people are making claims that the other side of the war, particularly Russia, under Putin, is committing war crimes and crimes against humanity, and so on and so forth. And now they've narrowed down the meaning of crimes against humanity, that it must only be when there's a war and there's a top dog bashing the head of the underdog, and then that's a war, as a crime against humanity. But we understand that that's just on this level of misunderstanding, where souls are not being valued for what they are. So the West, who is intentionally involved in supporting and orchestrating these war games going on in Ukraine, they have no thought at all, no care for what war crimes are taking place, where, how, and on who. They give no thought for that. You can be sure of that. So all the weapons that they've been producing by all the weapon makers of the earth, they're pouring it into that place just to make sure that what you might call war against humanity later on is taking place right under your nose and right in your sight. And you should think nothing about it until you see maybe a child or a group of civilians in a building being bombed intentionally or unintentionally, as would be reported some other time. But the fact of the matter is, wars are all against humanity. Every war is a kind of crime, especially these wars that seem to be orchestrated and paid for. These type of wars are wars, aggravated wars, wars that, premeditated wars. These are premeditated wars that are being used to sell weapons of mass destruction of the human race. There's a reason for that. We can't yet explain everything spiritually to some people, because for them, they don't want to know. They don't want to hear anything about the Bible. They don't want to hear anything about the Creator. Because all these nations that are involved in these wars, they are so against the Creator. They're all so-called Christian nations, but they're not truth nations. So they go about devising wars for their own ends, for their own gains. And what's the greatest gain of all? That is to get your soul into hell. There's no other reason. Yes, we have the sub-level reasons whereby, they want to sell weapons. Yeah, it's about the oil. Yeah, it's about some empire trying to spread its tentacles. Yeah, it's about, a dictator trying to get over his neighbors. All of that too comes into the game. But all of those in the picture are tiny little fragments of a bigger picture. The bigger picture is that this is a war to send souls to hell. It's a war to send souls to hell. That's the end of it. We're going to take a few scriptures right now. Excuse me. Now we're gonna read Matthew 24 a little bit, okay? And these are just basic scriptures. These are basic scriptures that tell us about the times that we are living in, that we've been living in for at least 2,000 years. A lot of people think Matthew 24 is just talking about a later future time in this history of ours. It's not just a future time, it's a time that has been from the past, it's the present, and it's moving forward. So let's take Matthew 24, okay? And we're going to be using words that you may not be used to, but I pray the Spirit of the Most High Creator speaks to you and lets you understand. So Matthew 24, in verse 1, we read, Then Yeshua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came up to show him the buildings of the temple. And Yeshua said to them, Do you not see all these things? Assuredly, I say to you, not one stone shall be left here upon another that shall not be thrown down. Verse 3, Now, as he sat on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, Tell us, when will all these things be? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? Some books would render that end of the world. Regardless of what word they choose to use, we have an understanding that we are in a period of time where we are going to be seeing so many types of chaos and destructions and disorder and lawlessness and evil, wickedness, unrighteousness upon the face of the earth that's going to make us question what is the time in the world. So when they say age, when they say world, when they say time, it's all roughly the same thing. There are details in there, but we're living in a time right now where it slots into this question the disciples came to ask Yeshua and say, when will all these things be? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? What will be the signs of the end of the world? End of the world is not a 1 minute thing. It's a process as well. It's a process of milliseconds, seconds, hours, and days, and months, and years, and so on. Even ages, decades, centuries. So we've been living in that for quite a while. You and I may just be here, young children like us, but this age of destruction and chaos, murder, unrighteousness been going on for thousands of years, even since our Messiah, Yeshua, left off of this earth. So, in verse 4, Yeshua answered and said to them, Take heed that no one deceives you. So that's the first command he gives regarding this question of what will be the sign of the end of this age and of our Christ, Yeshua's return to bring judgment and righteousness and peace back onto this earth. That's our hope. Okay, that's our veritable hope. And this hope we are trying to impart onto all of you who are caught right now in this war games called God, which is the game of death. That's where they got your word, God, from. The game of death is being played upon the people of the earth once more. Now, Matthew 24 and 4 says, And Yeshua answered and said to them, Take heed that no one deceives you. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will deceive many. Verse 6 says, And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there will be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginnings of sorrows. So, family members, all these are just the beginnings of sorrows. The verse goes on to explain a whole lot more things, but we want to keep it short because we want to focus on these games they're playing on human souls in this war arena that they've opened up recently now. So in the Ukraine right now, without going into the politics, we understand that a stronger nation called Russia has made its intent known for quite a while that they were going to go into the Ukraine and perform some special operations. The whole international community headed by the United Nations and the United States, they've all known that Russia has intentions going in there and doing their special operations. How did they prepare for this? How did they prepare to make sure that the innocent citizens of either country do not get caught in this war, do not suffer the consequences? Because everyone has come to understand that when wars happen between these great nations, great powers, great weapons, it's not only buildings that are going to suffer. And those who suffer the most usually are just a common citizen. You're just a common citizen. You will suffer the most. Those who signed up into the armies and into the militaries of both sides, they're well prepared for war. They're well prepared to even lose their lives. And they have a different type of belief and a mindset to you, common citizen, who's caught up in it. Right now, the leaders of both countries do not give a toot about what happens to we the common people. They give no thought for that. And that's them paying their dues to the leader of hell himself, Satan. That's them paying their dues. All of these leaders are on the same side. Now, the governing body that sanctions the war to be fought or not to be fought is standing by idle, watching the show on TV and making or running its commentary, taking account of how many have died and how many are still alive and how many are yet to die, because as far as they're concerned, they're just filling the coffers of hell. If it wasn't so, why would any sane person start a war like this? They must have some ulterior motives. And the one way to understand that is they are not even involved in the war. They're not involved in the war. They're just pushing buttons and giving instructions. They are not involved in the war. You go and check all their families. All their families are in safe places. Now, we see how thousands of foreigners who are not even from those two countries, how they got caught up in the war or the beginning of the war, where they had to flee and look for sanctuary and look for safe havens, look for safe corridors. Some of them are still there now who can't leave. Some of them can't leave for many reasons. Those ones who could leave are a different section of society. There are many foreigners in those countries who cannot leave and will not be catered for. If their lives are lost, it won't even make the numbers. It won't make the reports that you will see on the CNN and the BBCs. So we're saying there's some section of society that's not going to be accounted for in these wars and the loss of lives that ensues. The governing powers of these wars are not interested in the human people, in the human suffering. They're not interested in the human story. They will pretend that they are. But you are the fool if you listen to them. Because at the end of the day, you will lose your life. But when you lose your life, what about your soul? It's the one thing a lot of people are not thinking about. Souls is what counts. You know the saying, everybody's going to die anyway. Everybody's going to die anyway. But where does the soul go after all of that? We're not interested in taking sides, who's right or who's wrong. The only sides we take is the side of your creator. With your side, we're taking your side. Your side is the one where your soul is saved, where your soul is secure. So that if you lose this flesh in this war, this eternal war against the creator himself, and hence against all humanity, where does your soul end up? Where is your soul going to be made accountable? Is your soul going to be in a safe place for all eternity? Or are you going to continue the hell you went through on earth, through these wars, and then join all the hordes of hell who instigated and financed these wars on earth, from World War I to World War II, from this now World War Z going on? Are you going to follow them to hell and continue the burning fires? Is that what you want to do? I surely hope not. I surely hope that you can come to the understanding of this spiritual warfare. It's the spiritual warfare where they want your soul. Spread this to your friends and your families. Your soul is what's at stake. Human flesh counts for nothing. All the buildings that they're destroying, they count for nothing. We were born into this world with nothing and we'll leave with nothing. What matters is your soul. We even see many of these cities, boarding up and protecting their statues. Their statues made of stone, made of wood, their graven images. They're protecting those things from the onslaught of the Russian missiles. And I'm thinking, are these people, are they even awake? They're protecting statues. They're not protecting their souls. What's a statue anyway? And I'm thinking, well, it's a spiritual thing. Inside those statues are their gods. Those statues are their gods. If they were not your gods, why are you trying to board them up? They're only made of stone. And we're not trying to be disrespectful here and unsensitive or insensitive right here. We're just saying, save your soul. Save your soul, brother. Save your soul, sister. This to the Ukrainian people. This to the Russian people. This to the Africans, the Asians, the South Americans, the people, Arabs, who are right there right now going through hell. It's the same thing they want from everyone. Yes, the black nation of Israel is still going to catch its own, and has been catching its own hell on this earth without any mention, but they're coming for all of us anyway. On that note, the war in Ukraine is a sad, grievous event on the earth right now. A lot of people think, oh, we've come so far in civilization and we shouldn't even be able to have thoughts of this type of war anymore because we're so advanced now. But that's a lie. What the book says is that the heart of man is evil beyond all comprehension. It's all evil continually. The more we grow in technology and civilization, the more evil and intent we are becoming in destroying everything that's called life. The human life, the plant life, the heavenly life, the life in the sea. Nothing means anything anymore. All life is as if it was worthless. So we're now, as the saying goes, hell-bent on destroying all life. They're now talking about nuclear buttons and the threat of nuclear weapons being used in this war. I can assure you one thing, and we may come back to that. They're not trying to use nuclear weapons so that they can just, destroy your civilizations, or they want your soul. They want your soul and everything that's called life. Our Creator is life eternal. All those weapons of mass destruction, nuclear weapons, atomic weapons, biological weapons, chemical weapons, technological weapons that they have and they have amassed between themselves on this earth, they are for the same one purpose. This is not a war merely against humans or humanity. This is a war of worlds. This is a war of worlds. This is a war where the powers of this world, headed by Satan himself, is hell-bent, literally hell-bent on making sure that nothing that the Creator has created may survive his onslaught, may survive his devices. that he wants to destroy every semblance of what is called life. Why? Because he himself will have none. He himself will be in a lake of fire eternally, and that's no life. So what better way to play than take as many who have life in them with him? Make sure you pass this message to your families and friends. It's the most important message you're going to hear in this time. Now, you would have noticed that all of this war is taking place in synchronization with the COVID-19 manifestation over the last 2 going to 3 years now. And they have no care for that. We've hardly stepped out of a global disaster. Organized, for sure, this was an organized global disaster. The truth is coming out on the public level now. We spiritually, we understand these games. But the truth is now coming out publicly. Between the two big nations, they orchestrated all these games. And some of the reasons we haven't even been able to do anything online is because these days you can't even say anything anymore. You're not even allowed to say, and we're not afraid to say anything. It's just that if we say something without having a platform to continue saying something, it's more or less a defeatist idea, whereby we're just shutting ourselves down from being able to do anything else again. But we want to keep our fellowship with each other and keep this truth coming out one way or the other at you. So we've hardly stepped out of this COVID-19 business before they then bring a World War III on us. And none of you is even thinking, could these things be linked one way or the other? Could these things be linked? Why are these disasters seemingly following one another, just on the heels of one another? And this also brings us to the question, what exactly are we worshiping on earth? All the nations involved right here are supposed to be Christendom nations. Yes, we understand that Russia, has always been an atheistic kind of nation. They don't believe in any type of power beyond man. But that's changing slowly. And they're putting in rules and guidelines in those areas of the world now, Russia in particular, to forsake the gathering of anyone who thinks they have religious affiliations and the such. Ukraine also, we understand, came out of Russia. They claim whatever they claim. Our interest here is not the politics, but both of them have very similar backgrounds, and in this future they're more of a westernized type of mindset which falls under Christendom. And right now they're signifying that by calling out for the Western Christian nations to come to their aid. And our question is, the gods of these nations don't seem to be able to make any peace. All they seem to be able to do right now is pour more weapons into the conflict zone to make sure that this war claims as many more souls as possible to hell and to Satan. How can they not come to any peaceful dialogue and stop this madness, stop this murder, stop these crimes against humanity? How can their churches preach this to them? And where are all the pastors on the earth? Where are all the Christian evangelists of the Western Hemisphere? Where are they? Where are you right now? And why is it that the only thing you can do right now, without any other due reason, is to patch up the wounded and hasten the death to their graves? And you're all friends. They're all friends. All of these people are all friends. We're speaking to the layman right here. Why can't all these nations and their religions seem to bring peace, a true peace on earth, a true peace to these corridors of misery and horror and death, murder? Well, we are the fools. We are the fools, those of us who are going to lose our souls, lose our lives, by pledging allegiance to either side of this war. A war which they've declared is on humanity and against the creator of heaven and earth. We pledge allegiance to these people not knowing that they don't have our interests at heart. They have their interests at heart. As far as they're concerned, they're buying and selling souls. They are buying and selling souls. They have a ledger in hell and they're taking account in hell. How many more can we use? How many more can we bring? How many more can fill up these spaces in hell? That's all they want to know. For you and me, we think it's just a coincidental, war. A mistake. Oh yeah, let's get these people to come down and help stop this war. They're not interested. When we dig into their activities, even in recent times, they have welcomed demons from the pits of hell just to come and participate right now. Listen, these people, they fight wars like we watch football and Olympics. That's their Olympics. That's their football World Cup games. That's what they enjoy. Demons. They just want you in hell. That's the games they play. Souls. Blood. Contracts are signed in blood. Their wealth is the human souls that they are able to account for as having brought to hell. I said their wealth is the human souls that they are able to account for, that they brought to hell. Don't let yours be one of them. Save your soul from these evil, wicked demons ravaging the world. By the way, you would have noticed that besides the COVID pandemic on the whole earth, there's also the war on black people in the Yemen. Never mind all the tiny little conflicts, huge things that taking lives. Angola, the Congo, Cameroon, to name a few. Never mind Asia, Pakistan, India, East Timor, Papua New Guinea. People dying there. They're not even making any concessions if your skin ain't white. And a lot of journalism and journalists and TV stations are picking up on that now, that there seems to be a different treatment when the war is on a different type of color skin. Now, right now, there is no condemnation or no serious condemnation or sanctions going on in the Yemen right now, where a lot of people, black people essentially, are losing their lives like cockroaches over there. There's no safe corridor for them, and there's no social media, publicity for their plights, and there is no intention to give any of them homes in the West, like they're giving homes to the Ukrainians right now. It's all a game. They're now making it into an institution now. Give a Ukrainian a home. That's all nice and that's all fine. You kill them, then give them a home, right? Well, why can't you give the Yemenis a home too? Why can't you bring the Yemenis that you've destroyed everything, especially in the sectors of the poorest of the poor? You've destroyed everything. There's going to be no accountability on that one. But like we said, keep your focus. The whole idea is to take souls to hell. But let's just speak on the human level here, on the physical level. How come they're not offering any homes in Saudi Arabia, their neighbors, the Kuwait, the Qatar, all these Arab bloc nations, even Muslim nations, since Yemen is one of them? Where is the social media outcry? Where is the mainstream media outcry? Where are the programs from the UN and the USA and the UK to bring some of these people into homes in the West? Why is there no outcry for that? And all of you in the West, especially the white nations, you're not bothered. You're not bothered. You are not bothered. You're only bothered when that fire is touching your skin. Is that right? Is that even right? That's why the wars will not stop, because there's no truth on earth. There's no truth on earth. So the fires, the wars, the destruction will not stop. There's levels to this. The greatest one being that Satan, who orchestrates and uses all these people and all the resources of the earth, has only one intention. Because he doesn't deal in dollars and gold and diamonds, he gives that to the children of men. What he wants to keep is the most valuable commodity of all eternal glory. That's the human soul. That's the greatest commodity he can keep. Gold and silver, he pays his minions. That's what he pays them, so they can go hunting souls for him. And they hunt souls the best when they fight wars, when they institute conflicts which are orchestrated and premeditated. These conflicts are prepaid conflicts. The winner and the loser has already been known. They're going to get some money for reconstruction and all the madness in there. Compensation, reconstruction, all of that. It's premeditated murder. Crimes against humanity. The crimes against humanity is not on just one person or one race of people. But as we are explaining to you, the souls of all humanity is at stake in one way or the other. The collective soul of humanity is already being eroded. People are more concerned about their appearance on social media right now. We're even hearing how they want the president of Ukraine now to come to the Oscars. They want him to come to the Oscars. They want to give him some type of acting award. Now that's all this has become. It's become a game. The Oscars? This is madness. And by the way, what are all the leaders of the world, what are they going to do for these people losing their souls? What are they going to do? Nothing. They're going to do nothing. They've never done anything. They are happy when there's disasters on the earth. Go back in your history. The First World War, they turned a blind eye. The Second World War, 6 million Jews were claimed to have been wiped out by Hitler, but the Red Cross, the International Red Cross, and all the other organizations, they were present and they went to inspect the murder that was going on, even at the camps that Hitler was running. And they did nothing about it. They knew everything was staged to look like these camps were just, prisoner of war camps and detention centers and places where they, are necessary for war. But not the murder that was going on there. To that, they turned a blind eye. They pretended they couldn't see that people were being systematically exterminated. And 5 years later, they start to revise the situation. They're going to do the same with this war right now in the Ukraine. The two guys, the two presidents of both sides, they're on the same team. And that team is called God. They're on the God team. And what is God? Game of death. They all worship God. And they're playing this game on you, the loser, you, the victim. Time for you to get out of it. And they're now trying to move to the next stage, which is, let's make this into a world war. So they're running social media campaigns now, because that's where they get the hearts and minds of all the earth. Take sides. Vote. Isn't Putin a bad guy? Isn't Zelensky a nice guy? And the Ukrainians the best people in the world? And the Russians the worst villains of all time? But they weren't saying that 3 months ago. They were not saying that 3 months ago. All of them were congregated with Putin, smiling and shaking hands, giving hugs, exchanging money and business. upon which the whole system of the world operates. And now, suddenly they're castigating one side of the war. But all these nations are also involved in making weapons for war. Somebody's benefiting somewhere. What's the outcry for? I've always said, if you want to fight a war, let the leaders get in the boxing ring and sort it out. Let their leaders get in the boxing ring and sort it out. Let it be a 4-year thing, a 4-year cycle. Every 4 years, like the Olympics. They won't do that. Let them get in the boxing ring, karate. You know, listen, Putin is a karate expert, right? I don't know what Zelensky knows how to do. But let them get in a boxing ring, do some MMA or something like that, you know, Muhammad hijab kind of thing. Do something like that. If Putin wins in the ring, then, you know, he gets to rule over Ukraine for the next 4 years. And then in 4 years' time, he fights again. The Klitschko brothers are there in the Ukraine. They could well step in and make this thing a boxing thing. But guess what? Jokes apart, war will never end because Russia and its own friends, NATO and its own friends, they both benefit financially, at least, from the war games. They're all weapons makers. What on earth do you think they want to do with their weapons once they've sold them to you? And once they still need to keep selling, because that's where their business comes from. That's their livelihood. Your blood is their livelihood. Your suffering is their livelihood. Your death is their smile. Your death makes their bank account bigger. How are they supposed to stop the war? Right now, they're taking inventory in all the companies that make weapons. They know some of them weapons are going to drop on the heads of children, mothers, women, the old, the elderly, the dying, the infirmed, on hospitals, on schools, on roads, on rivers, on people's farms. The impact that this war is going to have, and is having already on the world, is going to be a global thing. It's the beginning of all the end games. Question now is, what should we do about it? How should we prepare our minds, family? We are Israelites. We are preaching and teaching to the world for them to see the games that's being played on the human soul. Our job is to awaken them, alert them, and pull their souls out of hell into life eternal. That's our job, remember? How are we going to do that? And the other thing is, we ourselves indirectly are going to get caught up in it. Because keep in mind, the final war is against the black man. That's Israel. That final war, they're orchestrating the side wars to come for black Israel on the earth right now. We've been talking about this for years and still are right now. Some of you who may consider yourselves non-religious or of a nation that's different to this, black Israel, you may call what we're saying a joke. But we are actually seeing another phenomena in this war in Ukraine. We are seeing how some parts of society, and we've heard Zelensky, we've heard him say things along the lines like, this is like the war where Hitler was trying to exterminate the Jews. Have you heard him say that too? And slowly they're building up that momentum. When they do that, they're taking away the attention from the truth of the matter. The real Israelites on the earth are the black people of the world. Yes, give or take, there will be a percentage of those people in Europe and the Middle East of white skin color who are also Israelites. Skin color is not the only determinant, but by and large, the Israelites on the earth today are scattered into the four corners of the earth, and they are of hue color. They have hue in their skin, black, Negroes. But what's my point here? My point here is they are now making this war slowly on social media and in, droplets of information here and there. That I've even heard one of the evangelists of the Americas, Benny Hinn, I think, trying to link this war between Russia and Ukraine, trying to make it into a Jewish prophecy thing. But what he forgets is that a lot of people in Russia are also Jewish. And a lot of the millionaires and billionaires which have been sanctioned in Russia are actually of Jewish background. Many of them also hold citizenships of the state of Israel. And they are friends across the board. The billionaires of Russia and the billionaires of the Ukraine, they are friends, brethren. So why are you trying to make this into a war between, some other nations and the Jews? Why are you making that comparison? When you know quite well that a lot of Russians are also Israeli Jews. Zelensky is a Jew also. So that's Jewish side. That would be Jewish side. Why aren't you making that connection? All of you media people, why are you trying to slant it as if there is an onslaught by some group of nations who hate Jews trying to come on Jews again? That is wrong. Don't take away from the human suffering of the people of Ukraine. Don't take away from the human suffering of children. Not everybody in Ukraine is a Jew. Not everybody in Ukraine is a Jew. You go on the population, on the Jewish population by country, and you see it's a tiny number. It's significant, but it's a tiny number in both nations. So don't make that into it. Don't divert attention from the real issues on earth. The real Israelites are the Israelite nations that have been subjugated under every other nation on earth. And we're talking the African, Asian Israelites. Bring that to the fore. Even the people of Yemen, many of them are Israelites. Do your history research. With that said, brothers and sisters, I'm going to stop this video now. I just want to ask you, what should be our preparation? Because that final war is against the children of Israel. It's your brother Ty on Hebrew Israelite Truth Channel. I hope this has been of some use to you. I would love to hear your comments below and what your suggestions should be for some of the focus lessons we have. We have a lot of lessons that we're yet to cover. I believe that in the Most High, His will, that they are being timely spaced out for our edification. But you can rest assured we got some things coming up. And we are praying that we can have a platform where we can speak freely. Because speaking on YouTube is just a landmine, really. It's hard to know what to say and what to not say. And I hope this video itself can stay on YouTube without being taken down for some of the stuff we talked about. With that said, family, your brother Ty will hope to hear from you soon. And me, myself, will be hearing from you soon. Shalom to all family.